ChatBack on RCV News.
The topic of discussion this morning is Zambia's future safe in the hands of today's youth? Is Zambia's future safe in the hands of today's youth? And my guest this morning is the Executive Director from the Media Network on Child Rights and Development, Mr. Henry Kabwe. Good morning, sir, and welcome to ChatBack.
Good morning, and good morning, listeners. Thank you for having me.
Yep. How's been the weekend? We saw that, we're celebrating women.
Oh, yes.
Are you also taking time to invest in women?
Oh, definitely, yes. I was just home, just being with the family.
Yeah.
Yeah, celebrating, the wife and the girls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most definitely. And now coming to this year's Youth Day theme, talking about Zambia at 60 be the change. When you hear this theme, what automatically comes onto your mind? Zambia at 60 be the change.
Well, it's a reflection that entails that we have been independent long enough to be able to have produced young people that could, contribute to development. More so to respond to the current situation where youths are being asked to be the change. It means that we are 60 years old. We should have put certain parameters in place for youths, wherever they are, whether they're in a rural area or urban area, to be able to be the change that can take the country forward. So any country's future can be predicted. You can predict that this country is going this direction if you look at the youths that are in that particular country, the children and the youths. What is being done to them? What facilities are around them? What kind of environments are they growing in? That way, you are able to be, you're able to determine, whether, the country is moving forward. So we can always ensure that we do something, and, predict the future by investing in youths, for them to be able to contribute positively to the development of our nation.
Yeah, you just talked about, development of the nation. And really, before we get into our topic, really, if Zambia's future is safe with the youths of today, I know you come from the Media Network on Child Rights and Development, and you interact with a lot of young people. Maybe just getting it from you, what are those challenges? I know they come to you, say, Edie, look, this is my challenge. This is what I'm going through. What could be some of those challenges that these young people are going through?
Well, our organization, Media Network on Child Rights and Development, has been empowering children from 2008. And, of course, they grow, and we have this unique approach where even if they graduate, they still maintain a relationship with the organization. I think one of the challenges we have seen is joblessness. A number of them would want to come back, and maybe get something. We have also seen quite a number of, young people, being approached, in terms of sexual abuse. So that issue has also been rampant both in urban and rural areas. You're in a workshop, you ask girls, how many of you have been approached by teachers, for example? The number that would raise their hands would actually make you melt. So it's a big challenge. So we are living in an environment where it may not be safe, for these young people. They normally don't have platforms, to express themselves, starting from home, up to the national level. And if there are any platforms, those are just tokenistic or decorative ways in which articulate young people speak, they're clapped for, and that's the end of the story. Another conference happens, the same happens. It's just more like a cycle. So we need to ensure that we invest properly in the youths. And there is also this rural-urban divide. Find that youths in rural areas are just dreaming to come to Lusaka. And if you look at the development terrains, we are in a country where we may, put pressure on places like Lusaka and other so-called line of rail towns, because a lot of young people out there, their dream is to come to these places to find jobs. And what makes it worse is that if you look at things like the Constituency Development Fund, Kabwata constituency will get the same like Shangombo district, because the whole district is a constituency.
Yeah.
Now you can imagine Kabwata, if you go to Kabwata, Kamwala as a clinic, Kabwata itself as a clinic, including UTH, Baolen as a clinic, and these places I'm mentioning have more than 2 schools. Each of them have more than 2 schools. Look at Shangombo. Nothing. If you go there, you can cry. If you saw the staff, we saw a picture of one of the staff houses. It was a very sorry sight. So it is that kind of disparity that is also putting pressure on places like Lusaka, thereby increasing criminal activities. Some people might argue to say, no, we're looking at populations. It's the migration that is at play. Because if you go to other countries, you find that there'll be some semblance of development across the nation, such that youths from these other places may not dream of migrating to the other places. That's why if you're watching the EPO, for example, find that there's a small town with a small club, but the stadium will be full because
Luton town.
Yes, because the youths, the people have not migrated to London. They have life there, they have universities and everything. So this is the kind of things which are perpetuating this kind of pressure, and then you have to start chasing street vendors, handling so many issues, because development has been put at the center. We are not using equity, we are using equality. Because if you look at Usakile, the population for Usakile constituency in Kitwe and the population for Kasemba as a district, Kasemba has more people. So this argument about population does not work still. It's about disempowering rural areas, which is putting pressure on young people to come to look for jobs. Then they find
so that's what
young
we
people
should be doing,
who are already there looking for jobs. Then it
do you think the CDF
is
to some extent is doing that? Because we know that there are grants, there's also loans under the CDF component that have been distributed across the constituencies across the country. Do you think in any way it's helping to do that?
Yes, it is. The CDF itself has done wonders. We must commend government for increasing the CDF, but the disparity is the fact that Lusaka is getting a larger share, and these other places where there are more constituencies, and places like Shangombo, Vubwi, which I just have one.
Despite the figure being equal on paper.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, yes, it's the same. But so Lusaka will get more than
Shangombo,
Yes, Lusaka will get more than 100,000. Then Shangombo gets 28 million, and maybe the Debs there doesn't have a vehicle. The Debs in Lusaka has a state-of-the-art vehicle. The facilities there are not as good. So it's basically a wrong thing to disadvantage rural areas. Even when they closed schools and we are learning through radio, TV, and internet, it was bad because you find that children from rural areas did not have access to those things. So we are disadvantaging those people and creating more pressure on towns. So we need to come up with a way in which we can distribute these resources equitably so that people can feel comfortable to stay anywhere.
Yeah, I think you actually raise a very good point, Mr. Kabwe, because the conversation that I've also been having with quite a number of people that come on the show to say, look, there are some districts that are actually constituencies, right?
Yes.
And then there's a district where there are so many constituencies. It means that where there are so many constituencies in that district gets more money compared to a district that is a constituency on its own. So that's a very good point. All right, let's probably maybe make headways and maybe let's now get into issues of the youth. Maybe to ask it this question, I know you're an expert. You've been dealing with the young people. What sort of young people are we dealing with now? If we were to look at it at a huger, spectrum, what sort of young people are we dealing with at the moment? Before we get into, their lifestyles and whatnot.
It's a loaded question. At the moment, we are seeing young people. I'll start from the negatives. that maybe have been used, during politics as, cadres, violent cadres that have contributed to some of the criminal activities that are taking place at the moment. We are seeing the growth of the so-called junkies, the gangs. A friend lost a parent in Chipata who was attacked by, these youths. Another person posted, I think I saw it yesterday, he was dropped at the gate, trying to enter, got his phones, and attacked him. He shared the photos on social media. The same was happening in places like Mongo, but we appreciate the law enforcement. In Lusaka, they've been trying to arrest, these young people. But even if they go to prison or to the correctional facilities, it's a loss on the nation. In Mongo, the mayor there, Nyambe Muyumbana, did quite a lot of work with the Zambia Police Service and other stakeholders. And we have been informed officially that this problem is no longer there. So with political will, like I was saying, the young people that we are dealing with today are lacking direction. They are lacking protection. They are lacking guidance. And those things I've mentioned can only be provided by adults. There was a mayor in Mongo who took a step to stop this phenomenon. And it stopped. Because in many of these communities, they even know umwana w'abandanuja ni junk. They even know that they attack people, but they just watch them. This mentality of lack of sense of citizenship that we have in our country. You feel like, and then you are attacked next. That's when you want to go and report. So it is a very sad situation. We are seeing young people that may not come and contribute to national development, but may start jeopardizing us as criminals, meaning that we need to use more resources to fight crime instead of having those young people contributing to the treasury in terms of taxes and revenue. There will be a liability, meaning that we have...
And just I've heard those conversations that Mwana Wandani in junk. And when you ask that person or that individual who's saying Mwana Wandani in junk, say, but why haven't you had a conversation with that child? And then the answers that are common say, we tell them, but swamamvela. Wanaba sikuano swamamvela. That's the common, answer that is there. Do you think that's true? That they just don't listen?
No, that may be true because of, like I was saying, it's the adults that you blame when such things are happening. If you see young people having easy access to, what are they called? To jiri?
Yeah.
Yes, these toxic...
codeine
and all these things. And are you able to talk to them and they'll be able to listen? No. So who is supposed to control the distribution of those things? It's the government. We were in Sweden and one of us wanted to buy, a bottle of wine. And he went to a pub and he was told that you can't buy takeaway from here. You only buy takeaway from a government-run supermarket chain so that they control. In other countries, whoever sells those things is licensed so that if you are seen selling to a child or you are seen selling, someone is already done and you're still giving them, they can withdraw your license. So these are some of the things. And there was a time when the late mayor for Lusaka, Kalumba, wanted to introduce an issue where if someone wants to enter a place where they're selling those things, they produce an ID, and it died with him. So these are some of the measures that other countries have put in place in order to control, the access to drugs and alcohol. And as we think, so it's the parents, and we have to organize ourselves. But these things will have a ripple effect on the economy. They'll have a ripple effect on our society, because that's why we're having people being attacked. Having junkies. The word junkie means someone who is useless, someone who has been messed up by drugs and alcohol, and they can't think properly. All they think about is attack, and they're forming these youth-led and child-led gangs, which is a foundation for them to become worse criminals when they grow up. So we need to arrest this issue now, so that we don't have to deal with it later. So these are the kinds of youths that we are raising.
On the
We have
negative
seen
side.
play parks being taken over by cadres, selling them as plots. So these people have nowhere to play. The best next thing is getting, intoxicated and involving themselves in sexual activities. So these are some of the challenges that we are seeing. But when you look at issues like free education, which the current regime has provided, it provides an opportunity, for these young people to have access to education. It provides an opportunity for, learners, especially through the changed curriculum, to be able to go to school and get a skill, other than just learning, just want to pass, come out, you're able to express yourself, but there's nothing to show in terms of value and skills. So, so there's an opportunity at the moment where these young people can be able to, get skills from the education system and also get access to education. And after grade 12, the bursaries are there at tertiary level through CDF. So this is a very good system that will help us, address some of the gaps that are there. Yeah, but if you look at the terrain, we really have to do a lot to address most of the challenges that we have at the moment.
Yeah. Actually, prior to this program, we've actually been doing a news feature on this particular day, asking the same question: is Zambia's future safe in the hands of today's youth? And we also interviewed the older generation, who sat, under their wings and said, look, take us through, how did you used to do things when you people were younger? And comparing it to now, do you think where we're going, there's something really good? And there were so many things that they talked about, but three things were prominent. They said, look, it's 50-50. Yeah, Zambia's future is not safe. Yes, Zambia's future is safe with the young people. And we said, look, if you're saying it's not safe, what are those factors that are leading to the future not being safe under today's youths? And one of them, one of the points that they said is, look, today's youths are lazy. That's one thing that we cannot run away from it. That's according to them. Number two, today's youths are social media addicts. They spend majority of their time social media, in church, on social media, even at workplaces, they're busy on social media. Then three, they're alcohol abusers. These are the three prominent issues among other issues that they raised. I know they also raised issues of respect. Today's youth, maybe I think we could also add respect. So we have, according to them, the older generation, there's lack of respect. They abuse alcohol, social media addicts, and also just lazy. How would you respond to that?
Well, yes. In the past, when Zambia became independent, the colonial government left parks, play parks. I think there's one at Long Acres.
Yeah.
Just nearby here. If you go there today.
It's a sorry sight.
Yeah. We're supposed to run that. Is it that us? I don't know. Maybe we should bring back those colonial guys. I'm sorry. Get the point, eh? They left that. What have we done after independence? 60 years. So we need to question ourselves. Let's not just blame the young people. Let's question ourselves as adults. Are we responsible enough? Most of the play parks, they almost sold the library in Mutendere. I know because I stayed there at some point. Like people don't care. There was one building which was meant to be a radio station. Because of politics, someone turns it into a political party office. The selfishness that the adults of today have is having an effect on the young people. We don't have time to talk to them. If a child is lazy, a young person is lazy, why are they lazy? Have you bought a hoe for them to plow? Have you bought, a slash for them to do that? Because I remember when growing up, we had those things at home. So you're told by your mother, go and cut the edge of the house.
How about if they say, look, today's youths, young people, or you give him a slash, you say, no, maybe there's something that I'm working on. I'll do that later.
You're giving that person the slasher when it's too late. When you start giving responsibility when a person is still small. They grow up with it. Then if someone has grown 15 years, that's go and slash from nowhere. No. Skills are gained. They become part of you. The first time you exercised, you felt bad. You felt like giving up. You do it 3, 4, 5 days, 2 weeks. If you haven't done that exercise in the morning, you feel like something is wrong with you. It becomes part of you. So we need to start inculcating certain practices in these children. Buy them books.
Am I already getting an answer from you that this at times all goes down to parents?
Exactly.
They haven't done it from the earliest
point
of
society? What kind of
lives.
society are we living in? Boys who can't clean plates, they can't make their beds. So it's that. So what is the next thing they do? You go to social media. Go to social media because you have no responsibility, or go to alcohol. So it's the system that we create as parents that will determine how the future looks like. If you are not watering the plants, you can't go and start telling off the plants that why you're not growing up. It's what you do to the plants, the kind of nutrition that you provide for the plants to grow, that will determine. Of course, it's not always cast in stone. There could be 1 or 2 cases where you have done everything, but the result is something else. Yeah, it's even when you are farming, you do everything to the same maize, but the other maize will do better than the other. But the point is that you have to do something. You have to create an environment where these young people can be able to thrive. If we do not run these play parks, we have failed to run them. Then we start castigating the young people. It's wrong.
Maybe just there. Someone told me, said, look, all these play parks, libraries, and all these recreation facilities that are there. Today's young people prefer social media because they sort of find satisfaction in social media compared to going to a play park. So they'll say, play parks are old school. Now I can just go on my phone, I'll play my game, and that's it. Do you think that's a right conversation? Or they've got a good case to argue there?
That is why most of the things in terms of sports are going down, because children are playing soccer from their phones or their tablets. Instead of playing soccer from the street. But I can assure you, they would love to play soccer in the play park, but it's not there. That I can assure you. If I asked my children between playing soccer on a tablet and playing soccer in a field, they would choose a field. So it's that way, that facility. Everything has been commercialized. If you want a child to go and play somewhere,
you have to pay.
You have to pay.
Per hour.
Exactly. Or you find children playing, you chase them. You're making noise and stuff like that. So we need to go back. Where is the chienga? Is it chiato?
Chiato
And chienga. Those
Waida.
Those traditional games.
But just there, Mr. Kabwe, what you're actually saying is making sense. But we've seen parents say, no, don't go play outside. Here's a tablet.
Exactly. Yeah.
Watch YouTube videos. Watch Cocomelon. That's not to say Cocomelon is bad, but watch this. Don't go outside because I don't want you to be dirty. Do you think also that is contributing?
That's what we are talking about. It's parents. Why don't you want your child to be dead? Why clean someone who is not dead every day? That's why we bath every day. You are supposed to be dead. Allow children to be children. Allow them to experience life. Let them get injured. Tell them off after getting injured. But it's no more. That's what we went through. Playing soccer, those days when beating was an in thing. You are injured from soccer, and your parent for getting.
And they want to really care what happened.
Exactly. They won't ask you what really happened. But I think things have changed now. But the point is, let children be children. Let them board buses once in a while. Send them to Kasama, or Mongo, on a bus. Let's not produce, weak children and just tablet children and start complaining that we are not winning the AFCON again. But we are the ones keeping children away from their skills. So we need to ensure that we provide those facilities, the local authorities must be held accountable, and the citizens must also be concerned. When you elect a councillor, the problem in Zambia is that when you are electing, we elect a political party. So even if you are ticking on the councillor, you don't even know the person.
The person, yeah.
You can't even follow up.
Yeah.
But like I remember as we were in Munali constituency, whenever there's too much traffic, there's a shortcut we use in Kamanga, another route.
Yeah.
And these I don't know whether the engineers or contractors, they wanted to put some bridges there,
Yeah.
and it has taken over 2 weeks, just digging and putting a bridge.
Yeah.
You find, and they knock off.
Yeah.
Like they report maybe at 9, around 16, 17, then they knock off.
Yeah.
I thought that string should be 24/7 because people use that road,
yeah.
and there was too much traffic.
Yeah.
Attitude. So find that I followed up with the MP. And he assured us that they'll sort it out. Only that we started off too early today, so we haven't confirmed whether it was sorted out.
Yeah.
So we need that citizenship concept where we hold our leaders accountable, even for things like play parks. Because if we don't want our children to become the so-called junkies, let them have play parks. So those the electorate, those people who put people in power, should be able to hold their councillors accountable.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, maybe just for the sake of really wanting to know, seeing that you deal with the young people, and you help them here and there, but maybe for a parent who's listening, they could be asking the question, say, look, okay, I actually asked my maybe 11-year-old son to help me with slashing, and they said, look, Daddy, I can't do this, Mommy, I can't do this. What are those appropriate ages that you're looking to instill those skills that you feel, I think my child should grow up with these skills all the way? What are those appropriate ages? Because I'm sure 11 now is too late. Exactly. 11, the child is busy on social media. So what could be those ages that parents could be looking to target, to say, by the time my child is 5 or 6, I should give him at least a broom to do ABCD?
Well, in terms of ages, it is tricky. It's up to a parent or guardian to determine, the maturity of a child. The most important thing is to show love, to have a relationship with them. Angel, it's very difficult to say no if you love someone.
Of course.
Do this. If you have a relationship, if someone comes from nowhere, no, I want 100 kwacha, it might be difficult. You might give an excuse, but if it's your parent, if you don't have, you even you start calling friends to say, I need to, sort my mother or father out because I have a relationship. So if we can develop strong relationships with our children, reinforcing positivity, telling them that they can make it, they are valued, they are loved, it becomes very easy for them to respond. So it's one of the things that is lacking in our homes. That is why a lot of parents would rather resort to the whip, because there is no relationship. So the foundation is a good relationship where you communicate with the children in a positive way. Not every time you talk is shouting. You create a toxic environment. When you create a toxic environment, you are raising rebels. When they rebel, you just say, Adina Mimba, she's gotten pregnant and things like that. So we need to ensure that, we create conducive environments. And as they start growing up, we start giving them responsibilities. And sometimes learn to say no. Someone calls it vitamin no. They want something.
Say no.
Once in a while, say no. They should know that, sometimes parents can say no. They don't deserve anything. That is why nowadays people are corrupt. They feel I deserve it. This is mine.
Yeah.
That's why even when you're on the crossroads where vehicles are supposed to wait for each other, find this guy just comes and he passes.
It all comes down to,
if that guy becomes a minister, he will steal. That sense of entitlement. So you need to start teaching them, telling them, no, you can't do that. Let's do this. Daddy, take us out. Once, even if you have resources, just say no. Today we are not going out. Let them know that that balance.
It's not everything that you want to have.
Exactly.
You will have.
Exactly.
At some point,
so even when you talk about
this,
when you talk about rights, it's also about empowering children to know that there are certain boundaries that they're supposed to have in life. But those poor children are the ones who are stealing in government, stealing in various sectors, because you have that sense of entitlement that whatever I see.
So it really
to me.
it all comes back to upbringing, really. That's
Exactly.
why parents should be, putting those boundaries. That's why parents should be ensuring that, the child grows up to be a responsible person at the end of the day.
Exactly.
Now, here's a scenario, Mr. Kabwe. Let's say this child, probably maybe a parent missed that stage. And then maybe this child is 18, 19, 20. And when you check with this child, responsibility is not so much. Is it then too late? Is there such thing as too late in impacting especially values and responsibilities in a young person?
Well, one of the things that we have undervalued in our nation is mental health. We tell our children to look after their bodies. We tell them, even when a person is grown, if they don't take care of their body, we can help them adjust and start washing and stop smelling. I'm sorry to use that word. Even when they are old, we can address certain issues. So, but we have ignored mental health. There are certain experts that are able to help a person, even if they are grown. The problem, I think I was telling the other meeting that one of the challenges we have in Zambia is that a hospital which needs more PR vibrance, Chainama, has less in terms of interacting with the media. UTH has very powerful PR persons. We hear what is happening there. But for Chainama needs more PR because of the stereotype.
Yeah.
But if someone is going through situations, they can go there. If you don't have to be certified as someone who is, mentally healed, to go there. Just even when maybe you're facing issues of alcoholism, drug abuse, a lot of people have been helped. If they don't want to go there, there are other, private, players that can help. And I think even hospitals in other places, away from Lusaka, there are, certain experts that can help a person reform. So,
and maybe what are the chances really that the person is going to reform?
Well, it's their willingness. They should see that what they're doing is wrong. That should be explained to them that there's this future, that you can have. And if, for example, why sacrifice your future to alcohol if you can become a productive person and have a family, provide for your family and contribute to the development of our country, and then you just choose to say, okay, for me, I've gone into marriage with alcohol. Whatever happens is okay. You just be seated somewhere, see people come, you beg for a 2 kwacha, another 4, then you put together, you manage to buy that. So you explain that. Why should you reduce yourself to that, other than get a career, contribute to national development? So if those options are given, there's a chance. Of course, it's not 100% assured, but these experts,
there's a chance,
they explain all these things I'm talking about, so that this person is able to see that, things can be better.
Yeah, but before we even get to that particular stage, parents first have to do their part. It has to start from the parents.
Exactly.
All right. The time is 9:57, and we'll have to break off for the news coming your way at 10. So in case you are just tuning in, you are listening to Monday's edition of ChatBack. And our topic of discussion this morning is Zambia's future safe in the hands of today's youth? Is Zambia's future safe in the hands of today's youth? And my guest this morning is the Executive Director coming through from the Media Network on Child Rights and Development, Mr. Henry Kabwe. So for your contributions and questions to our topic of discussion, the number is 0956 200 490. 0956 200 490. You can come through on that number for your text message, and also later in the second hour of the program, we shall be getting your phone calls on that number. Then also just a reminder that we are live on Facebook. On Facebook, you can go to RCV News, search for RCV News, and let's get interactive on that platform.
ChatBack on RCV News.
All right, and our topic of discussion this morning is Zambia's future safe in the hands of today's youth? Is Zambia's future safe in the hands of today's youth. My guest this morning is the Executive Director from the Media Network on Child Rights and Development, Mr. Henry Kabwe. He's with us this morning just to help us look at this particular topic. So for your contributions, you can send them to the number 0956 200 490. 0956 200 490. You can send your contributions, questions, or what you think really with regards to Zambia's future being safe in the hands of today's young people. All right, so you can send them to that number. Then also remember, we are live on Facebook. That's RCV News. RCV News is a platform where we do post everything current affairs. So come through and let's get interactive. All right, Mr. Kabwe, just before we went on that break, you're really responding to some of the sentiments that have been put across, especially from the older generation, talking about how, the youths are lazy, social media, respect and, abuse too much alcohol. But maybe let me get briefly into some of these aspects. I'll start with social media, because we are now hearing from the other side of the coin to say, look, today's youths are not really, it's not like they love social media, but they're just trying to harness the potential that social media comes with.
Mm-hmm.
How would you respond to such a sentiment? And also, really, I know you've seen a lot in terms of young people and social media, and also maybe just to consider your observation when it comes to young people and social media.
Well, yes, there are certain things in life that are quite relevant, like social media. It has helped a lot of people, to get new information. You can use the platform for lessons. For example, I know that in some areas, some teachers were going live on Facebook, when schools closed because of COVID-19. And they were able to offer lessons to their learners. So these platforms are very important. The challenge is that, when these young people become addicted, they're now using them for certain things. You remember the sex party in Lusaka, in Woodlands area, where over 100 children, and the youngest was 13, were involved. I don't think young people can mobilize themselves in those numbers without the use of social media. In Livingstone, we had about 50, children involved in, such kind of things, and the children are being abused on social media. They are getting, sexual advances from various corners, because of social media. So there's need to strike a balance. Let's have time for social media. Let's have time for productive things. Let's play outside. Let's be able to attend to certain chores, attend to school. You cannot allow social media to make you fail to get a job because you failed your exams. Social media will always be there. So it will be better you access social media and you have a salary or you have an income.
Yeah, and at this point, is it possible to regulate how a young person or a youth, spends that time on social media? Is it possible?
The starting point are the parents or guardians. What kind of gadgets are you buying your children? Why buy those smartphones in the first place? So we need to determine at which stage should we buy those. And a lot of parents would say, if you pass exams, I'll buy you a smartphone. But that same smartphone will erode the prospects of that child from making it.
Instead of buying for the child a bicycle or something.
Exactly. Because, when they get addicted, they'll be on the phone, even up to 03. There are certain children who are getting addicted. It has become a very big issue. And like I said earlier, mental health in Zambia is not treated as a big challenge. Not knowing that there are certain intricacies they went through for them to reach that stage. So we need to start taking care of our mental health issues. Let's make sure that people, whenever they are under pressure, whenever they feel challenged, they should be able to address their mental health. Most of these so-called junkies are just having mental health issues. Maybe they haven't received care from society. They felt neglected by their parents. So they have to attack everybody and grab whatever those other people have. So it all starts from the mind. So we need to ensure that we provide support in this area, which is quite neglected in our nation.
Yeah, another area that maybe we could briefly touch on is respect. I know you've heard these sentiments, and I say this because I think for me respect is very important in anything that you do. Respect has to be there. For the development of the nation, there has to be respect somewhere. I know you've heard these sentiments to say, "Abana bano," but they're not respectful. I don't know. Is that really true? Today's children are not respectful.
Yeah.
Today's young people.
Well, yes,
They even give examples to say, way back when I find a young person seated, automatically, if he sees that I'm older than the person, he will stand up and say, offer me the seat,
exactly,
have a seat here.
Yes.
We now have children that they're talking to you, Mr. Kabwe, they're having their caps on. But anyway, that's just small examples.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah. But who is supposed to teach that respect? Those people that had respect those days, did it come by osmosis or they were taught? So the biggest issue is, are we teaching? Are we talking to our children about these issues? And it's like becoming civil. I've seen this this thing in Zambia where, like, being civilized is moving away from culture. Like, then when you're civilized, if you're able to talk to your parent with your hands in the pocket, then you are civilized. I remember one time I was somewhere and I'm seated, just another home, and I just saw channel was flipping. And I'm like, what's going on? Then I checked, there was this young person flipping the channels. Now I said, come on, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Get the point.
Yeah.
And I grabbed the
remote.
So I don't know what is happening, but it comes to the parents. Because even after I told off that child, I expected the mother to continue the discussion. But, she just moved on, that kind of thing. So it's that kind of negligence that we're having at the moment. We're not talking to our children. I remember one time, visitors came when I was a young person. I think I was dressed in a crazy way. Yeah. Then I wanted to visit them. My mother gave me a sign. Then I went to change. Just a sign, you could tell that I need to do something. So I went to change, and then I saw that she was okay. This other guy, made us laugh. That whenever he was in the house, I just saw this man was keeping him, having an attitude. I come back, he's just having an attitude. I started looking for what to do. Yeah. Then he got the scissors, so that you could cut the
flowers.
The flowers.
and his attitude changed.
You get the point. So that's how, wise and clever our parents were. Yeah. So we need to get back to, to those levels. I know that parents are having a lot of pressure, trying to fend for their children. But you can't reach an extent where you are sending your child to clean vehicles at a nightclub, 22 hours. You are sending your girl to sell carrots at 22 hours at a nightclub, 13-year-old girl. So we need to, look at the future. We are talking about the future in this theme. We need to ensure that we look in the future. Let these children grow up,
So even issues like respect, it all comes down to parents, really.
Exactly.
They have to teach their children.
But it's because even when you go to church, let's also talk about churches, because all these play a part. School, you go to school, you want to pass exams. You don't get values. So even when you are learning about values, your goal is to memorize, to come and pass exams, and not to acquire them. You go to church, they're talking about money all the time. Money. Every time it's money. Are you going to learn respect as a child? No. In Sunday school, maybe they'll tell you 66 books in the Bible, 39 Old Testament, 27 New Testament, without teaching values. Like respect. Yeah. Values, parents honor your father and your mother so that you may live long, and all those things. So I think we need to decipher these messages to ensure that whenever we're talking to these children, we don't just clap for them on Children's Sunday for reciting scriptures, which are not even relevant. Jesus wept. So what? You know, that kind of thing. The longest chapter in the Bible. So what? So we need to start to decipher messages to the children, to the young people, that can make them start developing values like respect and all those things.
Yeah.
So apart from the parents and guardians, we have these other
The
players.
church also plays a role.
The education system.
Yeah.
They play a role.
I actually wished we had a lot of time to talk about the education system, but maybe just briefly, the education system. I know there's been a lot of comments really coming through that the education system in Zambia, the current one, is not helping us at any point, regardless how the youth, are going to contribute to the future of Zambia. They said, look, the education system has really failed us. And I think this is also a comment that actually got in the feature that we were working on. Say it's all studied from the education system. Do you think now these conversations of the new curriculum that are coming in may change that narrative or that situation?
Yes, it may to a larger extent. But I've been an advocate of reforms also in the examination system. You cannot
what have you
talk
been
about,
advocating for?
Change in the education system without talking about change in the examination system. You spend your all 12 years in school to just write one paper in English, one paper in geography, and one paper in whichever subject. And no matter how brilliant you are, you may have a bad day. Get the point, eh? Yeah, there's always a bad day. So if you are writing on a bad day, then you fail and you have to wait for another year. So what I've been advocating for, what we have been advocating for is some kind of continuous assessment and also group work where you can mark learners as groups, because you know that Zambians don't know how to work together. We don't know how to work together. Even whenever you are writing in class, you want to hide.
You want to hide from your neighbor.
Then when you grow up,
so it all starts from there.
And people are jealous of you in terms of how you're doing.
There's some
and such kind of thing. It's because it's because of the education system, the foundation that we have laid as a country. So we need continuous assessment, so that maybe the grade 12 can be 50%, then the other one 50%. Then the learners would have known some of the values, working together on a project. That way it is going to help us. So that, and also even when teaching, emphasis that we are not learning for exams. I'm also studying, and lecturers do tell us, I know this one, concentrate on this one.
Yeah.
It will come.
It will come.
So am I learning?
No.
For the exams? No. I'm supposed to learn to get knowledge, to get behaviors, to get values, and to get skills. So that is the level that we need to reach. So even as we have a very good curriculum, I believe, maybe we need to include things which I thought about later on, because we submitted as well, things like emotional intelligence. We're talking about mental health issues. We need to applaud the ministry for this step they have taken. Very good approach, which will result in some of the learners graduating in some skills, so that we don't see youths protesting. They need to graduate from school at least with some skills. But we need to also reform the examination system, so that the learners are not exam centric, but they concentrate on gaining something out of
all right this. We've talked of respect. We've also talked about social media. Let's talk about alcohol. Alcohol, especially consumption among the young people. I think it's evident, Mr. Kabwe. I don't know, I may be wrong, but it's evident that we have a lot of bars. We have a lot of places that sell alcohol, even to the young people. Do you think this issue of alcohol is really... It's sort of like the alcohol just invites the young people to say, hey, there's so many places that you can get alcohol from. Come through and because I've had conversations about, no, maybe it's just one drink, but we have seen that long term they now start to abuse it, and then now that's where now others end up into being junkies, and then there's all those. What's really the problem here with alcohol and the young people? What could be the problem?
Well, I was in Chipata one time, seated at like after a workshop. Then we were seated, at a lodge with a friend of mine who stays there. Then we saw these two girls passing. They should be between 12 and 15, 12, 14, 15, I think 14, 12 to 14. And one of them was staggering. Now, what shocked me more was that the people that were passing, it appeared like it was one of those things. You know what I mean? Like I was almost collapsing myself. But when I saw the reaction from others, I was like, I'm overreacting. Yeah. Like to them it was
normal.
Yeah, it was normal. I was like, oh, this is very sad. So what you're saying is very true. We need to apply the same kind of commitment to social issues as we do to political issues. We need to ensure that if we have these places. I remember one time, our office is in Chilenje area. So sometimes you take a walk and you find children, seated somewhere near a place at Muchitacha and Bana. No, this is a pub for children. They told us that, and we reported that place. I don't know what has happened yet, but it's very sad. So we need to regulate. Like I said earlier, we need to ensure that we put measures for children not to access these places, for young people not to access these places. An ID is not an everything. If you can manage to get a document to drive your car, a car which doesn't have life, why can't a person get a document for the body which has life and which can make decisions? No, it's old-fashioned to move with your NRC. No, we need to ensure that everybody moves with their NRC so that before they enter a place, they produce it to confirm the age. I was somewhere in America, and the time differences. I was failing to sleep because it was during daytime. So I said, let me see what happens. So I went there. Let me have some meal. But the place, they also sell alcohol there.
Yeah.
When I tried to enter, they wanted an ID. And I was like, no, but I'm old enough.
Yeah.
Then I saw an old man with gray hair producing an ID. And I felt embarrassed, and I also produced mine.
Yeah.
You see that?
Yeah.
So our friends are very serious about that. Because that also saves the fact that in case of anything, if someone has an ID, we'll be able to refer to, you can get their name and look out for them. So we need to put sanity within our systems. Let's not politicize the councils. The councils are highly politicized. After elections, people of Zambia, let's move on from the political inclinations and ensure that we save the people. Found somewhere where a member of parliament was saying, no, we can't build a school in that area because they voted for the other political party. I think we need to move on. After elections, people have voiced out. Well, that's what they decided. Let's move on and forget what they decided and be able to save everyone. So it's very, very sad that this alcohol problem is not being followed up because people have not taken care to regulate these places.
And especially among the young people, what would be those recommendations, Mr. Kabwe, that you would say, look, I think maybe let's start with recommendations to the parents, because in as much as these young people are going to abuse this alcohol, they're coming from homes where their parents, if they're not parents, that there's some sort of guardian that is, looking after them. What could be some of those recommendations, starting from parents and then maybe to government at large, because we're saying that they control this, the larger system, really?
Well, first of all, the parents and guardians cannot be relied on 100% because people have different aspirations. You saw that girl, I was eating Chivolia, I was talking about what the father does, that, the father is a criminal. So that is why we have things like the education system, so that we equalize the lessons. But just to advise guardians, even if they are involved in certain things, they shouldn't allow their children, to go through the same. They should ensure that they protect their children from accessing these places. And then, there is also need for government to ensure that regulations are stiffened against those that are allowing, minors, to have access to these places. You can sympathize with that musician who was sentenced for defiling a minor, because in the first place he found her in a club, and if he found her in a club, the person who is supposed to enter that place should be above 18. So it's a very bad case, and we need to ensure that we strengthen the protection of children in those areas. Let some bar owners be sentenced. Let some, some of these things, be followed up so that, we can protect children from accessing some of these places.
All right. There's actually something that I before I lose my thought, really, talking about parents being parents of all young people. We saw that in the past. It never really, it didn't have to take your mother or your father to tell you that you're doing something wrong. Even when you meet an elderly person on the street, they'll say, "Hey, you're not dressed appropriately." And the question would be, are today's parents doing more of that? But before I have you come for that, maybe we can get a caller. Good morning. You're through to the program. Okay, we lost that caller. You can call us back on 0956 200 490. 0956 200 490. I think we had picked up for a long time, and the caller was waiting for us to attend to them. But anyway, we'll pick up calls as we go. Okay, let's just pick up this caller. Good morning. You are through to the program.
Good morning, brother.
Yes, your name and where are you calling us from?
This is Victor Banda of Chawama.
Yes, Mr.
Good morning to our guest there.
Good morning. How are you?
How are you?
Fine, thank you.
I like the way you are articulating.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, like you cited, most of the parks have been taken away or vandalized. There's one place that I love so much, but unfortunately, somewhere I think it's Liwala. There's a road from Chirumburu Road. On Yotamumlea, let me just say, on Yotamumlea, there's a park. But unfortunately, what you find there are adults with a lot of beers having parties or whatever they are having. I don't see much of kids. I don't know why. And like you've cited, these people that we put in power, like councillors and MPs, it's their role to eradicate some of these unfortunate things that happen to our youth. Me, I live in a compound, and I see things every day. We don't even have these institutions where maybe they can learn skills. Are not there. Like in our area, we have a good stadium. If maybe you walk through Kuku, where there was a police post, unfortunately the police post was demolished, and now kids are now everywhere and doing whatever they want to do. When there was a police post, it was fine. But I don't know how parents would help, because I see some of the parents having these challenges. They try by all means to do or put kids to school, but unfortunately these groups, I don't know if it's peer pressure or they see these as the good things others are getting involved into. That's what they end up doing, and the music that they listen to is worse, because in the compound it's buzz. So I don't know how some parents are helping, some parents are not doing. They're just thinking life is just as life normal. Whoever grows like Mwagati Njoka, Ikapalavana, or just like that. That's how life has become now.
Okay.
To so many in compounds.
Yeah. All right.
Thanks.
No,
Thank you so much, Mr. Banda, for your contribution. And I think he's read my mind, because I wanted to ask a question, really, what if parents are doing all they can, but the world is just, I don't know, different? I don't know, but let's get to that. Let's get another call. Good morning. You are through to the program.
Yes, good morning.
Yes, your name and where are you calling us from?
Thank you. Wash Precious Utakiri Kitwe.
Yes, Wash Precious.
Yes, na pushana wale pane obalero ndo we are winning.
Thank you.
Nalaya ko mimi ya kwalwa. Na madrag kuli wa youth kwete palirero.
then in them what nama human rights validon the right to contribute kwi problem and yami kuri yaban akare ifwe they ukama 70s 80s 90s vale tulopola olo wa chitechivi bana kulopola ukulingana noku nomba ilelo mbule sio mwana wandi pressure na patience na pressure simulo polemo kutata olewera bwa mpangani ya sikati kamba kabakapokola basa bando bale bandika tokunkaka so tulatina toya byashibamo ukalipira abana ate mu kubula kabwe mbyo kulopola abana lero cyo mufuna mwanshiba takola mu byashi ukabiro mwana ukule chiwerewere yo onzo mu byashi oba byalo mwana alakabiri kumukusha mu lero usuma wakoba timune kuntaja ke seiteka lero abana abalelo n'abapula mu ngo umuntu wapakati one ngatabareka bino okumva kuba byashi babo bena bali shibafyo because amalike namu batera sana namu kwacha sana ntambu kutira kwa kutoa byashi kwa byara then Bwira chiruba mana 97 muri 96 takwadi mishishe yabwaro esi tiranganda nipa tiranganda baresha kusima wantiru tuku tiranganda baresha posi chihuku takwadi kwale bati bamoba mweko bale bakupati kwale ba city council bakazo police bale pitomayanda kabasango kwati atubala shisha kufiru tuku atima fi chihuku bale fitira nokulaba kasabali abantu nomba irelo amachechi ya chepa ama ba afula ikyo tusipe to arrange mo treaty shitamo asa sangatika baba dikasangura kapa so shitanda kira nokutima abana bandi mu market because nani bala mukamba chakuru kwa letunja kuchibumba cha shop so bare tona wira abana so government na ina ife ingiramo Zambia is a Christian nation no Christian nation no bapusha mabwaro no mbadire bakateka bale isula ile ya bwaro ile company ya bwaro.
All right, thank you so much for your contribution. Let's get another caller. Good morning, you are through to the program.
Good morning, Angel.
Yes, your name and where you calling us from?
Washmalan.
Washmalan, okay.
Nani ngachapa watu mutengo wala bakarundu mutengo kurwala pepe wati mwesho mutengo nono bakambuko n'abantu wala akola nave mitepera antunga mwamu na mukombo ni mkwati kubwalwa ekikwacha mwamuni muntu ala shitobona bulala no kadina bweno palipozi ekikwacha 15 kwacha bachakwe batanga barunda mutengo wakwela afikala shituko kushita manga takwati ngatulelanda fye uteko kulelanda fye elo futi nani besemona nani makomboni yesu mulifi amba balmendo wale pepa fye amba kula chafi amune batanchika tapali na ngumu wa polisi wale pita amune nombanga chakwe wati ngabaona ikeni pepela abakatumwe cyano ni banani to buteko bule posa kwa mano fyamba batanchika fyamba batanchika nani tanchiko kana tina bachawe ngata kwa chuteko bwalekele chabana ngabaona ika pakate ko buteko ebu fyashi bwiso nani wacha mu fyashi walanda wanaka batinga chako chuteko bwako sepu ngachimfya mafyaye ngatwelanda fi abana ninchi mwala onalo chapo mwala onaula abana mkwaizikom.
All right, thank you so much, Washimalan. Thank you so much. Washimalan and Mash Precious, they even have similar voices.
Oh, yes.
And they identify themselves as Washimalan, Mash Precious. Both from Kitwe, yes. All right, let's see if we can squeeze in another caller so that we have you respond to these concerns. But I do have a text message here from Sipo, texting us from Avondale. It says the country's population of young people is doubling every 20 years or so, according to Zamstats. We therefore need a fast-growing economy to create jobs and business opportunities for them. Otherwise, Zambia will become a failed state like Haiti. This issue transcends partisan politics, tribe and religion beliefs. Thank you so much, Sipo, for your well-articulated text message and obviously your take on today's topic. Thank you so much, Sipo. 0956-200-490 is the number that you are calling the studio. 0956 200490. Okay, let's see if we can get this caller. Okay, I think maybe you could respond to some of these concerns that have been raised by our callers.
Thank you so much. So Mr. Banda from Chawama talked about parents and what is happening in the compounds, and the issue of the fact that there could be a park, but accessibility is a problem.
Yeah.
So I think we need to implore the members of parliament. I know that before elections they normally organize football tournaments, but after elections, those tournaments end.
Yeah.
They need to continue engaging these young people throughout their tenure, so that there's that interaction. I don't know what the motivation is to organize a tournament before elections, and when you are voted for, you forget about the tournaments. I think those tournaments should be annual, and they should even create some space, find spaces for these young people to play. But those things can be feasible in places like Lusaka and Kitwe. But if you look at a place like Shangombo, like I said, very vast. So how do you manage that? So government must do a delimitation. And it was going to be worse. They wanted to divide Matero at some point. They wanted to reduce constituencies in Lusaka further. But we need to go to the rural areas, such that if Mr. Kabwe retires and wants to settle in Lukulu, there must be a semblance of facilities that can make me feel comfortable to stay there. Then Vashi Precious twatotela sana ama uko na drugs mwachiranda pali bachiluba how things were those days. And I think before that, even worse, there was regulation in Zambia. You don't just sell alcohol anyhow.
Do you think we need to go back to those days?
We need to. There are certain things that are important, Angel, in life. You can't just sit. No, pante. It's what is capitalism and free economy. No. You have to look at social issues. That's why Nyerere told the young man who asked him about whether socialism has failed. He said, young man, socialism has given capitalism a human face. So you need a human face. That's why we have a Ministry of Community Development and Social Services. Even in America, the social services get a huge funding. Why? Because you cannot ignore that. Even the capitalists themselves, they make sure that you address social services. But if you look at even those countries, the shootings, the gangs and everything, those are the things we wanted to copy? No. We should have maintained certain things so that we can allow, these children to grow up. Now, if people talk about human rights, it's the misinterpretation, which I appreciate, this misinterpretation. But we need to understand that human rights are actually stiff sometimes.
They're saying they're scared. We don't even know. If now I send my child and he says no and I force him, I don't know if I've infringed on his human rights.
Why do we force children to go to school? Because of the right to education. They want to go back home. The child is crying. We leave them at school because of the right to education. We force a child to get an injection because of the right to health. So let's not misinterpret rights. Rights can actually be very inconveniencing. They can be inconveniencing. Because of the right to health, people were made not to stop going to these places during COVID. You need to stay home. Those that were found patronizing were being arrested. So it's these are, so let's not, but I appreciate his interpretation of the so-called rights, because at times parents can be deceived by children, but they have rights. But we need to ensure that everything is put in context. Then even like at beer being sold everywhere. This is a very big challenge, which the council should be accountable to. Even Mashmalan's issue about beer being sold at a cheaper price. Who is selling the beer? Who is allowing those licenses? Those are the questions we should be asking. Who is allowing the licenses at a market, even after a circular by the PS, local government, that the market should not be harboring those places? Who is allowing those licenses? I found one place, barber shops, groceries, the whole place has been taken over by places, because I used to go there to cut hair, but even that place is now a pub. So these are some of the things that we need to address. The issue is the enforcement of laws. And I like Sipo's submission. I think we don't plan according to growth. You know why Kenya and Zambia, as examples, have too much traffic? When cars come in, ZRI will be recording. Cars have come in without telling, alerting the yes, to say, so many cars have come in. Let's expand the roads. In the end, you start delaying to go for work. In the end, the economy is affected because when you spend 2 hours on the road, that 2 hours is production time.
Yeah.
And what Jesus said, the poor will be poorer and the rich rich. Our friends in Europe, if the bus says it will come at 8 hours and your watch is 8:05, you should adjust your watch. Your watch is wrong because the bus is always right.
Yeah.
So they arrive on time, they do production on time, and the economy is moving. So like he's saying about the growth of young people, we need to plan strategically like that. For example, we have been hit with the rains. I was going to Ndola for the World Radio Day, found, it was raining from Kapiri up to Ndola there. Why not get farmers from these other areas? Give them land in those places. Get farmers from Southern Province. I like that you even refer to the fact that it shouldn't be tribal. Let those people from Southern, Western, and these Lusaka provinces, part of Eastern provinces, they go to Luapula. There's so much land in this country. Yeah. Get those lands and produce some maize. We are not going to be complaining the way you are complaining. So we need to be very strategic and ensure that we look at things that can help us, survive. Otherwise, with this climate change, like you were saying, places like Haiti where the population was growing, but it was not resonating with the growth of the economy, then we become a failed state. So I agree with him. We need to come up with strategies that can help us mitigate the impact of climate change and the impact of whatever can happen with this growth.
All right, the number is 0956-200-490. I do have a text message here. Just open it. It says, good morning, enjoying the program. Today's youths are indeed tough to manage. They like fast things. And yeah, okay, it ends there. So it says, today's youths are tough to manage and they like fast things. No name on this one. This one just says, good morning, enjoying the program. Thank you so much. It says, good morning, brethren, enjoying the program. Thank you so much. Okay. What does this one say? Okay. Thank you so much for your text message. 0956-200-490. Maybe if you can just quickly respond to the one that says, today's youths are really tough to manage and they like fast things. Before I move on to my next question, and we have to wrap up because obviously time is not on our side.
Yeah, my response is an assumption which I strongly believe is very true. When you go to church, especially those guys that have flooded the social media, they will tell you have a miracle tomorrow, you receive this tomorrow. Christianity is not a quick fixed kind of thing. The Bible says many are the tribulations of the righteous, but the Lord will deliver them. And it's a process. So we have these deceptive people that have come on the scene. They are all over social media promising people quick fixes. Plant a seed for tomorrow's breakthrough. Do this and you get this tomorrow. And they have really devastated our young people. They are contributing to this selfishness. Young people wanting quick fixes. So we need to see how we can regulate that part as well.
Okay, let's just squeeze in this caller. Good morning, you are through to the program.
Hello.
Hello, you are through to the program.
Good morning, is that Radio Christian Voice?
Yes, this is Radio Christian Voice. Your name and where are you calling us from?
Hello.
Yes, this is Christian Voice. Your name and where are you calling us from?
Okay, can I make a contribution? I'm not getting you clearly. Can I make a contribution?
Yes, how about your name?
Okay, my name is Kennedy Luo. I'm calling from Lusaka.
Yes, go ahead with the contribution.
Yeah, I started listening to the program late, and I hope I'm going to be in line with what is being discussed because I started listening to the program late.
my contribution is that, someone contributed to say that the youth now like fasting. My contribution is that apart from liking the fasting, we are also, the youth are also being molded to put up appearances. In this country, when the person finishes grade 12 or they have a diploma, they don't want to start from the photo. I've seen foreigners come here to start going out to order plastic bags, apply to groceries, to give them 6 months of a home shop. After 5 years, they go back very rich. But our young people are sure they cannot do such things. Thank you. That's my contribution.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Kennedy, for your contribution, talking about how that our young people are shorts. They don't like to start from the bottom. They like to start from the top.
Yeah, it's a Zambian thing. I'm sorry, it's not a Zambian thing, but we have seen quite a number of people that don't want to start.
And you actually, you may think that that's a Zambian thing because it's quite common.
It is, yeah. It's I like what you said. Sometimes you find that the young people don't want to learn the ropes. They want to just arrive on top, partly because of what I talked about, the messages. You know, you are blessed, you are this. So I think even we need to see how we can regulate access. I mean, most of these preachers are actually on social media. Go to TikTok. They know how to promote their pages. Even when you don't like them, you know, I've blocked quite a number. But they keep coming using other, channels. So they're having a lot of influence, and you really get deceived that life is easy, Christianity is easy. Christianity is not easy. God, of course, will see you through, will protect you, He will provide for you, but there are certain things we have to fight. There are certain things that we have to go through for us to, get somewhere.
Yeah.
So I agree with him. We need to. The Bible says, humble yourself, and God will lift you up. It's a very good principle.
Do you think our youths, our young people humble themselves?
No, this is what he's talking about. We need to teach young people to humble themselves for God to lift them up. Even ourselves as politicians, and sometimes people are praying for the rains. Remember those days? The rains come, then we start praising the person who was praying instead of thanking God. So I think that also, I like, when I read about David, how he would say, can I do this? The guy was powerful, killed the lion, killed what, but he would always, humble himself and say, can I pursue? That kind of thing. So I've been thinking, what kind of humility is that?
Yeah, very true. Just a quick word on someone who also said the music that our young people are listening to is something questionable. Do you think that's also shaping, their lifestyles, the music that they're being, exposed to?
I don't know how I forgot to respond to that one.
I actually just remembered it.
Exactly. Thank you so much. Yeah, if you, growing up, you listen to Tibana Msonda by P.K. Chala, advising a young lady from the village that when you go to town, don't get swayed by, other people's, appetites and desires. Then she gets swayed and ends up having the husband dead and all those things. Those are lessons. Advocacy songs like Tomato Balunda, even outside the Lucky Duvers of this world, they sing conscious music. But I don't know who you can mention today that is playing such kind of music where you can pick certain lessons. Or it could be playing, but people are just glued to, talking about, stories of love and romance. So, I agree that the music also is shaping our society in a bad way, and most of this music, especially from the US, find that adults, they are free to insult, it just, if you listen to the music closely, you wonder. It's a nice song, but you listen closely, you hear certain words which are not supposed to be said. So it's a very sad situation. And with internet, let's brace ourselves as parents to be on top of things, to guide our children. Internet is here to stay, whether we like it or not. And if you have bought your child a gadget, you're in trouble already. let's do whatever we can to talk to these children, guide them so that they can use them responsibly and ensure that we protect our future.
Yeah. Last question before we go. If youths, of course, if the future of Zambia is going to be safe in the hands of today's youth, it also means that they have to start to participate in the affairs of the country. Remember, the last question would be, do you think youths are participating enough in the affairs of the country, or do you think there are no opportunities, or there are less opportunities for youths to participate in the affairs of the country, politics, farming, mining? Maybe if you could bundle up your answer in the next maybe 3 minutes, because we have to go. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Participation is very important for young people, and let's not put conditions to that participation. Every person can make mistakes. I remember when stories about one mayor, happened, and people saying, "You see, these young people." No. I think we need to be magnanimous and allow people to make mistakes and learn from them.
It's part of growth.
It's part of growth. So let's allow young people to participate and not judge them. So, Maona, that's why we don't want them to participate. There are a lot of young people that are doing great things. And, you find that even the same example I'm talking about of a person who was judged like that, if you look at the performance, brilliant. But, some of those personal issues really affected the whole thing. So we need to...
Actually, I heard something say, the deeds of today's youth is the reason why it's not even raining. That's something that I heard from the street.
You get the point.
My youth, yeah.
Yeah, but I think we need to allow them, to learn the ropes. People like VJ were very young when they became leaders. They had their own share of life, but they grew and became what they became, and they were guided. So we need to ensure that we also allow, youths of today to be able to participate. Let them make mistakes and let's guide them so that they become responsible. But we cannot allow youth to participate if we don't empower them. So we need to give them requisite skills, requisite kind of education, educational values, knowledge, and skills that they can be able to, contribute, to our society in a positive way. These things are happening. Social media is there. So we need to anticipate certain mistakes. But our goal is to empower these youths to participate, for them to contribute to our development. And
looking at this year's theme, Zambia at 60 be the change, what would be your Youth Day message to all the youths listening?
Well, youths should not limit themselves in terms of participation in issues affecting them. Know your counselor. Be the change in your society, so that if there's anything happening in your area, you talk to your counselor. A lot of young people, even a lot of listeners, do not even know who their civic leaders are.
Yeah.
Know your MP, have their number. Be the change. Know your, the aspirations of your president. What is the vision 2030 for Zambia? Some of them, they've never read the Constitution. A lot of these young people read the Constitution. Know what is contained there. What is there for you? Have this citizenship concept where you feel I'm part and parcel of this country, and I need to contribute to the development of my nation. This nation is for all of us, whichever tribe we are from, whichever race, whichever socio-economic background. It's our country, so we need to ensure that we do everything to contribute to our country. Don't join those wrong groups where you are, taking the country backward. We don't want Zambia to be known in a negative way. If you go out there, you are in South Africa, in the US, Zambia has made a very good name. So let's not create these gangs and involve ourselves in wrong things and make Zambia have a bad name. Let's make sure that we maintain our friendliness internationally with our good reputation, so that us as country people can be proud of ourselves.
Yeah, and you've actually just reminded me of an encounter I had with my nephew. And he found me listening to news. He said, you're watching things for old people. So, it all starts from there. Yes. Of course, the message to the youth is, also just being concerned with the affairs of the country,
exactly.
you
That's
know,
right.
current affairs, all those are, if the future should be safe, I think the youth should be also worried and concerned with what's really happening.
Exactly.
Mr. Kabwe, thank you so much for coming through to today's edition of ChatBack, and really appreciate your efforts to come through. We know this period is very busy for you, preparing Youth Day and whatnot, but thank you so much that you made it to the studio today.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for the callers.
All right. Thank you so much. This is where we end today's edition of ChatBack. Happy Youth Day to all the youths. And make sure you celebrate the day. And just like the theme says, Zambia at 60, be the change. So the message out there to the youths is to be the change. Up next, we do have the news, and then we do have Wednesday's edition of, Monday's edition of Lifestyle with Chipo coming after the news. ChatBack is next back into your speakers on Wednesday, so make sure you do tune in for another exciting edition. My name is Angel. Remember to share Jesus boldly.
ChatBack on RCV News.